remember starting to see like tricklings of this virus kind of in China, right? Like
it was actually just one of these things that was on the news, some virus somewhere in the world, and I didn't really think of it that much.
And then, the month came, it was coming down to closer weeks, and we're like, okay, it's starting to get scary now. The death toll rising, people don't know what's going on, where's it from?
And we started hearing about it, and the theaters might close. We had a talk with the producers, but we should stop the show because it isn't wise. We are not protecting people. And a lot of our audience were older people.
We'd have a break for about 3 weeks, then we'd get back on tour. I really thought that's what it was going to be.
And there's no other way but to close the theaters, but it's hard to be told that you're not important.
I don't remember exactly when was the first time. I remember it sort of started trickling down into the news, like there's this virus happening like across the world. I do remember it not being very, like it didn't seem like a threat at all. It was just like, oh, it's happening on the other side of the world. It shouldn't be a big thing. And if it does come here, we were just comparing it to the influenza virus that happened, I guess it was 10 years ago.
I remember being in Hamilton. I think last Christmas, we were in Canada. So in a weird way, I felt safer. Not in a weird way. I blatantly felt safer in Canada because it's better. But I still didn't think anything of it, really.
Yeah. We were holidaying in Jaipur when the news broke out that there is something, and people had started to panic. I remember even when we were at I was holidaying, and people were getting into a little bit of that zone. Okay, there's something out there that's unknown. People don't know what's going to happen.
A month and a half before we closed, it was something on the news again. Not as big as you thought it was going to be. Something that's like, oh, okay, here we go again. The news always blows everything up. We don't know. And then because Lion King is such a tourist attraction in London, especially in the West End, we have a lot of people coming from those places that they said it was originated in, so we were panicked. And, people, again, because of fear, we don't know where it's from. So people started to panic because in the Lion King, we come to the audience a lot. It's very immersive. Everyone was maskless. You have people from Asian countries would wear masks. They usually do, from China, and, they would. But then as the weeks went on, you see more people with masks, more people with masks, more people with masks. I'm like, what is going on? And from a stage point of view, it's so scary. You see people, so you're like, what is happening? So then again, because we didn't know what was happening, it was your brain starts to formulate your own ideas, you don't know.
We were in China at the time, actually. It was 2019, end of Jan. And I remember we started to see in the news, we were touring. So we were in China. We had spent some time there, a couple of months, like quite a long time in China. We started hearing about this virus that was breaking out, and like there's a lot of little things that go around in China. So to see someone in China with a mask on is not foreign. So during our stay there, some days we had to wear masks because the pollution in the air was just really bad. I think the strange thing was seeing everyone at the airport with a mask on, So anyway, we did that. We got to South Africa. None of us had the virus. We were all fine. And it was happy days.
Well, we sort of you heard COVID was a thing in overseas. And in Australia, we've been very lucky with things like that. We were very lucky with the SARS pandemic. We've never had any trouble with diseases actually affecting the country that badly. But this hit us overnight, pretty much in around March. And we had two shows. One we were in rehearsal for, which was Peter Pan, and we were also in pre-production for a Clockwork Orange, a play of Clockwork Orange at the time. So they immediately had to get cancelled.
Actually, the coronavirus became a joke in the play I was doing, and it landed very well. Yeah, it landed. One of the actors came up with it one day, and it landed perfectly, and people laughed a lot. Like, it wasn't a big thing. It was just this joke, I guess.
I had the contract for summer where I thought this would work out. It didn't. Like in May, they sent us the email that they had to cancel it, and they said that we're gonna postpone it to 2021. And I thought, all right, at least I have a job then. But then they sent us another like part of the contract, which said that if Corona stayed until then and the show had to be canceled again, that we would be okay with not getting any money.
I think we got laid off, like work stopped on like March 13th, I want to say. It was a Saturday. Our company managers just talked to us. And you know, it's hilarious. They said, this is going to be 2 weeks, probably, maybe a month. Like, so people were like, should we just stay in Canada, or like, should we fly somewhere else? And like, they were like, just stay in Canada. This is not going to be very long. We literally popped bottles of champagne and we're like, woo, vacation. I mean, it's sad. People, you know, we just were so clueless as to what was happening.
And then Tuesday we got the call / email stating that we're going to be off for 3 weeks. And again, doing 8 shows a week, especially at a caliber as Lion King, you're like, thank you, Lord. I can rest. I can talk to my family and friends. I can sleep. You know.
There was actually one musical, but I managed to see it the day before the closing. Yeah, they premiered it on Friday, and then they had the show on Saturday. I saw it on Sunday. The day after, there was a lockdown. And we knew, the audience knew, tomorrow, like this, we won't have this experience for some time now. Like sitting really close to each other, like 550 people, like from tomorrow, we're gonna be in our houses, like, and we don't know for how long.
We were, I guess, one of the last big shows to officially announce that we were not coming back. And when we got the note, when they called us and told us, it was weird because it wasn't a surprise. We were sort of expecting it, but also it's like a real gut punch. You don't want it to be like that. You want to know that there's something to return when this ends. Of course, now that I think about it in hindsight, it's ridiculous to think that we were ever coming back. I mean, it's been a year, but at the moment it felt horrible.
And that's what everyone thought. Well, this year is gone down the drain, but next year we'll be back. And here we are.
Like, if I had known a year ago that I would still not be working, I might have had a mental breakdown. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty much the same as everywhere. We all went into lockdown for a few weeks, and basically you weren't allowed out unless you were shopping for groceries. And everyone stayed home, and all the businesses were pretty much shut except for the supermarkets and the chemists.
So in Canada, I was staying at this Airbnb, like in someone's basement, essentially. And how did I spend my time? I mean, at first, I think when we all thought this was much shorter, it was like a mixture of vacation, and a lot of us, especially dancers, were like, all right, let's train. Like, let's take tons of dance classes, and let's, you know, like I spent all day, like, work out, do yoga and Pilates, take dance classes, just like, it was very, and then I read this article that was like, slow down, everybody. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint, you know?
First, I had to rest because I had the disease too. I caught it. Yes, in March. And when I look back to the situation, I think a lot of us from the cast got it in November and December 2019. Yeah, it was a strange situation because every person was sick. They were gone during 2 weeks, and then they came back, and then 2 days later they go back home. Yeah. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's just the flu," or "Oh, you're just you're just tired," or
Beginning it was all like, oh, we finally have some time for ourselves and do stuff, and then yeah, but there's only so much you can really do that's not feeling productive. At some point it all turned really, really bad, because once we realized this would take long, you feel like I have to do something to not let this whole year pass by wasted, you know?
And then I started doing teaching singing lessons, not only acting, but acting in a song, and then just simply singing classes, because I realized I could do it, which was something I didn't think I actually was capable of doing, and it was a good thing to find out. It was a very good thing, actually, because it changed my perspective of who I can be.
I started baking bread, like a lot of people, and I started selling them. Like Pride, there's a bread here that's called a concha, so I did that, but with the rainbow Pride flag, and I started selling them, so that was fun. I learned how to knit carpets. I did that as well. I had a lot of free time.
First, I just I put a podcast in my ear. I went to the store and I got paint, and I painted the walls.
We struggled for a long time, but you know, because of being in the industry that I'm in, I mean, people in theatre and performing arts are generally positive people. They're really happy people. They're people that tend to adapt and be able to create things out of different adverse conditions. So, you know, you sort of try and look for the positives. And one of the positives was I got a lot of stuff done around the house while we were in lockdown, and spent a lot of quality time with the family. It was just good for me, who's busy all the time and constantly doing 17 different things a day. It was really good for me to literally just have a break.
So when we were on lockdown, we went to this place called Teatro. So we could go to a dance studio if we had to wear masks, but be a certain amount of people, but it was only 6 of us in the cast. So we were able to rehearse, but we had to present it virtually. So that's the only online project I've done.
I did get involved in an online play. This was around May, and we thought, ingenuously, I think, but we thought that by August things would open again. And we started rehearsing the show like very normal, very traditionally, and then we started we had to do it on a streaming platform. We did it live on a stage, but without the audience. We just had cameras. So what was fun about that was we had to discover a new way of doing a streaming play.
I had a concert in November, which obviously got canceled. And the guy that I was doing it with, he organized it, and he was so sorry about it being canceled that he was like, Hannah, let's do something else. I have this friend who makes online concert, and let's do like a Christmas concert. So in December we met and we put together a program, and then we had a pianist, and then we did a streaming concert of Christmas songs, which was so nice to be singing again. But I just noticed how important the audience is. It was so strange to like sing into a camera and there's nobody there, and somehow it doesn't really feel, you don't have the tension that you have with an audience, and you don't get feedback.
Haven't been in a virtual play or anything along those lines. I think the experience is just not the same, you know. The moment you're going to want to make it virtual, then you might as well shoot it as a film or a series or whatever. But like, it's a play on a stage for a reason, and having the audience in the space for a reason. That's the experience, you know.
Like everyone, I started watching broadcasts of shows that had already been shot in theater with a live audience, which is one thing. And the whole other thing is theater made for the virtual world, which, in my opinion, is not theater, is something new.
I am not a fan of recorded theater performances, to be honest. I'm not. Because I've not seen many theater performances that have been recorded in the correct manner. I know the bar is too high to speak of, but the only one that I've seen that I've liked is Hamilton. That performance again blew me away, and I was like, wow, theater can be recorded in this manner, and this is how it should be done. That's the first time I didn't feel like I should complain about a live theater performance.
I mean, being able to stream stuff, and it's great. We got to see, you know, Hamilton when it got streamed, and all these other productions which was great for people who normally wouldn't get to see those. That was good, but it doesn't come up close, I don't think, to the live experience.
There's something about live theater. It takes you to a whole different plane. You know, the music, the energy of the audience, the energy of the cast members, the way you literally leave your life behind when they close that door and the lights go down. Your life is you're in that play.
I don't think the future of the theater is to be online, like only, because the magic of the theater is being in the same place and like watching a show, and it's never gonna be exactly the same, because it's like, it's not just something you repeat, it's a conversation with the audience, it's a conversation with the energy and the times we're living. And so
we learned a lot about the language of theater through a different medium. As actors, we learned a lot because as theater actors, we're trained to perform at a certain level or volume of energy, you know? So you have to translate that to the camera, and all of that has its technicalities. So we learned a lot about that. I don't know if this is gonna keep happening the way it's happening right now, or if it's gonna transform into something new, or if it's just gonna disappear. The only thing I know is that it was cool to learn from that, and it's fun that we got to experience that, like in the middle of a really, really horrible situation, you know?
I don't know if virtual plays are the future, if I'm honest, you know? I don't know. But I definitely do think it's important always to innovate and to think out the box.
Anyway, leading a freelancing artist's life is difficult because you go through rejections, there's no steady income, yada, yada. And that's the same story across the world. It's not only that an actor from India would feel this, or an actor sitting in Sao Paulo would feel this. All actors go through this, and period. All artists, let's put it that way. All artists go through this because you're freelancing artists and there's no steady income. So it does become difficult. Quitting, no, I've never thought of quitting, but
I've had a lot of people quit during this time. A lot of people quit, like they've retired and now they're working at the shops or bridal stores, or they've stopped because they've given up, you know. And it is hard to stay positive for so long. Like, okay, we're getting back, and then no, you're not. Okay, we're getting back now. Nope, you're not. And then you feel like nothing. You feel like disposable. You feel like these people have like a string in front of you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch you hop around like a rabbit and tell you when you're gonna work. You know, it is very hard. You know, and then you know, you do have those people who don't see your job as a job, they see it as a hobby. So then they're like, see, if you had a real job, you would be working right now. That's what we have to deal with.
I know about a lot of friends who got into the delivery business. So a lot of them are working for Uber Eats and a lot of other food delivery or just delivery in general platforms and apps.
I had lots of friends who stopped because they were so frustrated with not being helped and not really being taken as a valid part of society. Because it was always when we were asking for help, the answer was always that, yeah, there's other sectors that we have to take care of first because artists aren't vital to society. They don't contribute anything that, you know, keeps the system running.
Smack in the middle of lockdown, where the only respite people had was either watching things on Netflix, watching plays, listening to songs, and I don't know what not, everything related to artists. And there came about this list that artists are not even in the top 20 most essential jobs on the planet. And I'm like, what? And how could you say artists are not important? It's the most bizarre statement I've ever read in my life. And I was like, you're surviving because of us today.
I would say to theater members, to comedians, to singers, dancers, to keep faith, to have faith, because we need it. And we are, I consider us as the hope for the people. So if we are down, everybody is down. And the problem is that the society nowadays doesn't value our work, because we are considered as non-essential. And but we are
essential, we are necessary, we are very valuable, and people really need us as a collective to keep elevating them.
I think it's really scary to see how many people think that art will die. You know what I mean? You see so many posts about like, oh, don't let theater die. And like, for me, it's hard to stay optimistic in this time. But still, I think we have to just remind ourselves that art can't die.
It's so hard, and it's just a lot of work, because you have to do it by yourself. But I just want them to know, actors, singers, any performer, we can't give up on ourselves, because then everyone else will. Even though it's I know so fucking hard, but we can't lose ourselves, because then everybody else will just wipe us away like we're nothing.
We can cry, we can take our time to cry, to feel sad and to be down every now and then. But we have to always remember that being an art professional is not for the weak, because you've been bit by that bug, and that bug has bit you because you were meant to be bit by that bug. So let's go for it, and let's study, let's use this time to widen our thoughts, widen our to grow new branches of study and to develop ourselves somehow, you know.
And now, and it's going to take a little more time, but we're going to emerge out of this. We're going to prevail. And so if you can, in this time you have remaining, like, I got to start singing again. Please start singing again. Start dancing again. You know, get out there. Start performing just for yourself, for your family, and know that it's going to come back, and we're going to be able to share it with the world again.